let's talk about those Cleveland Cavaliers. It was a 4-game skid. If you just looked online, you would think the world was ending.
Oh, yeah.
And then they played the Utah Jazz yesterday and dominated the Utah Jazz, despite the fact that the team once again struggled to shoot. Donovan hasn't made a 3 since Wednesday. Crazy. Darius did have a little bit of a better, more efficient shooting performance, but still not up to the standard we have become accustomed to at Darius. But the big picture, Jason, the 4-game skid is snapped. How do you look at the win, knowing they beat a Utah team that doesn't have a ton of incentive to try that hard right now, compared to the fact that the Cavs once again didn't shoot that well from the floor, especially from 3?
I wasn't terribly concerned during the losing streak. I'm not going to do backflips for hammering Utah, a team that they should hammer. They should have hammered the Suns previously, and they didn't. Listen, yes, they're in a shooting slump. No, they're not shooting well. I have a really hard time believing Donovan and Darius are going to be shooting this poorly a month from now. That's why I can't get that worked up over it. It's the end of March. A lot of teams struggle around this point. It's not that big of a surprise. I think it's a good thing that some of those things were taken off the table that we've been talking about all year, like 70 games. You don't have to worry about that. Just go out, just work on building good habits, work on rotations. I saw Kenny say over the weekend, like, hey, listen, the worst thing you could do is play desperate right now. We don't have to play desperate. We just have to be who we are. We're a really good basketball team. And he's absolutely right. So just chip and putt your way through the end of the season at this point. I don't really think that there's anything major. This team is who they are. And we have more than enough evidence to prove that this is a legitimately excellent basketball team with a really good chance to win a championship. So from now till the end of the season, you can ride whatever, you can talk about, we can dissect and pull it apart. The fact is, this team, I think, is at the point where they're just waiting for the playoffs to get here.
I have zero concern. I'm with you. You talk about the evidence. What's more likely? They're the team that played the first 65 games of the year or the team that played the last 5 games?
Yeah.
Yes, they're playing crappy basketball right now. Yes, Donovan and Darius can't shoot. Those guys have track records of being able to shoot as long as they're healthy. As far as I know, they're healthy. So eventually they'll get out of it. The rest of the games don't matter. They're still going to be the number 1 seed. Yeah, they're going to probably lose the top overall seed to Oklahoma City, which would only matter if they played them in the finals. If we have to worry about that, we're in good shape.
It's a good thing if we have to worry about that.
In the finals. I think they're going to be fine. They're going to play whoever they play in the first round of the playoffs, and I'm very confident they'll get right then. It's hard to play great basketball for 82 games. They did it for 65 games, and now they've played lousy like every other team, except for maybe Oklahoma City, has done at stretches this year. I get again, I think this all goes back to the way the playoffs have ended the last couple of years, especially the way they played against the Knicks 2 years ago and the way they played against Orlando last year. And so there's the nervousness that comes up because there's part of you that maybe thinks they're fraudulent. I don't buy that at all. I'm not worried at all, and I think all will be right. This regular season cannot come to an end soon enough.
Yeah, I agree with that because you're also holding your breath about it with injuries.
Yeah, right.
These games mean absolutely nothing. The last thing you want to see is a colossal injury that ends the season for one of the anchors to this team. Consider this fact. 50% of their losses have now come in 2 7-game in a 4-game stretch and a 3-game stretch.
Right, yeah.
That's half of the losses they've had on the entire season. There are things that I'm seeing that I don't love, so I can't say there's zero concern. Because to say there's zero concern, you have to not see a dramatic dip in the. I don't know what it is with Donovan's shooting right now.
Yeah,
I know
really
shooters
bad.
go through slumps, but this is an extraordinary slump that has now stretched 3 games, 4 games. I don't love that.
5 games.
5 games. I don't love that. But like I think Bull said it or Jason won, it's not like we don't already know this dude is a shooter.
Right. Yeah.
So and shooters shoot and they go through slumps. Mike, you know that as well as anyone. Sometimes the hole looks like it's 3 times bigger than the basketball. And sometimes it looks like there's no way that basketball is going to fit in there. And right now, that's what's going on with them. I do want to see, I'm anxious to see how they finish the season. They cannot continue to play this way all the way up to the playoffs. No way. Because then I would be concerned. Because you don't just throw the switch. It takes some time to find it and flip it. And so I'd like to see them take it more seriously and get back to the winning ways so they go into the playoffs on a nice little stretch, 4 or 5 game winning streak or 6 out of 8, whatever, where the 2 losses were because they rested people and whatever. I think now you do wave the white flag on getting overall home court. I don't think that's going to happen. It's funny how in the span of 5 days they went from in the driver's seat to, it's the long shot.
Who knows, though? Oklahoma City could go through a bad stretch, same as the Cavs did down the stretch.
Nope, that's very true. They could. And I think, Jason, you said this last week. We're assuming Oklahoma City's going to win the West.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's
Good luck with that.
That's a really big
I
assumption.
mean, Golden State is playing ball. When LeBron comes back, the Lakers are going to be a tough. There's 6 teams in the
Denver.
West that I think could win the West. I think there's 3 in the East. More like 2.
There's 2 in the East.
I don't think the Knicks are going to do it. So I think it's either the Cavs or the Celtics in the East, and I think there's 5 or 6 in the West that would scare me. So, just get back on track. Hope someone knocks off Oklahoma City and you get home court throughout.
There was a couple of people, I think, tagged both you and me, Mike, on Twitter yesterday. We're like, before the Jazz game, we're like, I told you guys Donovan's not it. And I'm like, what?
Oh, my God.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, we got a ton of those.
It doesn't take
weird.
much.
Twitter is not the resting place for the well-thought-out sports take.
This is some crazy stuff sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's stunning how you can completely disregard a 60-game or a 55-game body of work and focus on a 5 or a 10-game body of work.
I saw a crazy stat. So March is a weird month in the NBA for everybody.
It
happens
is.
every year.
Yep.
It's weird. It comes from the All-Star break. It's the dog days of the season. I know it's not dog. I always say dog days of summer, but it's not the summer.
Yeah.
I saw a stat the other day.
barely spring.
Now, this has not been updated since the game on Friday, so this may have changed slightly. The Cavs had the number 1 offensive rating in the NBA for the season. Mm-hmm. They were number 12 in the month of March.
Oh, wow.
The Thunder had the number 1 defense in the NBA this season. They're currently, or as of Friday, were 12th in the month of March.
Interesting.
The San Antonio Spurs, who suck, don't have Wemby. They just shut down De'Aaron Fox. Had the number 1 offensive rating in the NBA in the month of March.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
The New Orleans Pelicans, also who suck, who are playing better lately to their credit, had the number 2 defense in the NBA in the month of March. Weird stuff happens in March. You have to take it all with context. Now, when you look at the big picture for the Cavs, yesterday was a good win. They had lost 4 in a row. In the month of March, they have not been playing their best basketball. They beat Portland, but were down 18 in that game. They were tied with Chicago late. They overcame a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter against Miami. Same with Brooklyn. So they had not been playing their best basketball.
Right.
But it's hard to just look at this little stretch out of context when it seems like year after year, not just in Cleveland, but all these different teams across the NBA, it's hard to keep that hunger and that intensity to play as hard as you can for 82 games. And the defensive numbers with OKC, because part of the reason it's so good defensively is the numbers they can throw at you, the depth. They have 10, 11 guys.
Right.
Well, if they've taken a step back defensively, it's natural that you're not going to play as hard when you have a lead in the conference like Cleveland does and like OKC does. And Cleveland has a 5-game lead over Boston in the East. Do you know what the lead that OKC has over Houston in the West for the 1 seed?
Like 10, right?
Not enough. It's 13.5.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
13.5 game lead over the Houston Rockets for the 2 seed. They're also not playing, so you're just going to see a natural drop-off. So
12 games left, right, Mike?
Jeez.
For Cleveland, it's 11 now.
Oh,
11 games left for
please
Cleveland.
get through it.
So OKC has already wrapped up home court through the West Finals.
Yes.
Oh, they have the 1 seed locked, yes.
That's insane.
Yes, they have the 1 seed locked. The Cavs have essentially, according to ESPN, right now they have a 99.8% chance of having the 1 seed locked. So, but the Thunder do officially have it locked.
Yeah.
And with that, any final thoughts
No.
on the Cavs before we move on to the
No,
Browns?
my concern level is immeasurable, but there are things that I would like to see change soon.